The greeting that never came, the alarm that shattered the morning calm at Earth Command, wasn't the usual drill. Admiral Patricia Torres knew the difference between routine alerts and the sound that meant everything had changed forever. She rushed to the command center, her coffee still steaming in the mug she'd abandoned on her desk. "Report," she barked, scanning the massive holographic display that dominated the room. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes turned from his console, his face pale. "Ma'am, deep space sensors picked up a massive object entering the outer edge of our solar system. It's ... unlike anything we've ever seen." Torres stepped closer to the display, watching as the computer generated a three-dimensional model of the approaching vessel. Her breath caught in her throat. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of humanity's largest Titan-class warship. Its design was alien in every sense, composed of what appeared to be crystalline structures that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. Speed and trajectory, Torres asked, her military training taking over despite the magnitude of what she was seeing. "Current velocity suggests it will reach Mars orbit in 72 hours, Hayes replied. "Admiral, the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever that thing is powered by, it makes our fusion reactors look like campfires." Torres felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. First contact, the moment humanity had both dreaded and dreamed of for centuries. Every protocol, every simulation, every late-night strategy session had led to this moment. "Alert status to DEFCON 2, she ordered. "And get me, Captain Martinez. We're sending the Thunderstrike." The used Thunderstrike was humanity's pride, a Titan-class warship that represented the pinnacle of human engineering and military might, stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. It carried enough firepower to level a continent and housed a crew of 4,000 of humanity's finest. If first contact was going to happen, it would happen with humanity showing its strength. Captain Elena Martinez received the orders while reviewing patrol reports in her ready room. A 20-year veteran of the Solar Navy, she had commanded the Thunderstrike for 3 years, leading it through conflicts with rebel colonies and pirate fleets. But this was different. This was the moment that would define not just her career, but possibly the future of human civilization. "James," she called to her first officer as she strode onto the bridge. Lieutenant Commander James Chen looked up from his station, immediately sensing the urgency in his captain's voice. "Ma'am, plot a course for intercept with an unknown vessel. Long-range sensors show it entering our system." Martinez settled into her command chair, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility. "This is it, people. First contact." The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of machinery. Every officer present understood the magnitude of what they were facing. Dr. Sarah Williams, the ship's chief science officer, broke the silence first. "Captain, if I may suggest, we should approach with all diplomatic protocols engaged. This could be the most important conversation in human history." Martinez nodded, but her hand instinctively moved to the weapons control panel. "Agreed, Doctor, but we go in ready for anything. Raise shields and charge the main batteries, but keep weapons offline. I want us prepared, not provocative." The journey to the intercept point took 18 hours. During that time, the alien vessel continued on its steady course toward the inner system, making no attempt to communicate or alter its path. It simply moved through space with a grace that human ships, for all their power, had never achieved. As the Thunderstrike closed the distance, the alien ship became visible on the main screen. Martinez had seen the sensor readings, but nothing had prepared her for the reality of seeing it with her own eyes. The vessel seemed to be carved from a single massive crystal, its surface refracting starlight into brilliant rainbows that danced across its hull. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. "Range?" Martinez asked. 500,000 kilometers and closing, Chen reported. "Still no response to our hails on any frequency. Keep trying. Standard first contact protocols." Martinez studied the alien ship, looking for any sign of weapons, shields, or hostile intent. The vessel appeared to have no obvious armaments, but its sheer size made it a potential threat regardless. Dr. Williams looked up from her console, excitement and worry battling in her expression. "Captain, I'm reading some fascinating energy patterns. The ship appears to be scanning us with some kind of exotic particle beam. It's completely passive, probably just trying to understand what we are. Or targeting us," Chen muttered, his hand hovering over the tactical display. Martinez felt the familiar tension that came before combat. Every instinct honed through years of warfare screamed at her that the alien scanning was a prelude to attack. The particle beams, however passive they might appear, could easily be weapon locks in disguise. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving some kind of transmission. It's not on any frequency we recognize, but the computer is trying to decode it." "Put it through," Martinez ordered. What came through the speakers wasn't language as humans understood it. Instead, it was a series of harmonic tones that seemed to carry meaning beyond words. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, like whale song mixed with the ringing of crystal bells. "That could be a greeting," Dr. Williams said hopefully. "The mathematical patterns suggest intelligence, possibly even an attempt at communication. Or it could be a warning," Chen countered. "Those energy readings are still climbing." Martinez watched as her tactical officer's display showed the alien scanning beams intensifying. To a military mind trained to recognize threats, it looked exactly like weapons preparing to fire. The beams were targeting critical systems aboard the Thunderstrike, analyzing their shields, weapons, and propulsion systems with increasing precision. "Captain," her weapons officer reported, "their scans are penetrating our defensive screens. They're mapping our entire ship down to the molecular level." That was enough. In Martinez's experience, no peaceful entity needed that level of detailed information about their weapons and defenses. The aliens were either preparing to attack or gathering intelligence for a future assault. Either way, she couldn't allow it to continue. "Red alert," Martinez commanded. "All hands to battle stations. Raise shields to maximum and power all weapon systems." The Thunderstrike transformed in seconds from a diplomatic vessel to an instrument of war. Massive particle cannons emerged from hidden bays, missile tubes loaded with nuclear warheads, and energy shields blazed to life around the hull. The ship's appearance changed from sleek exploration vessel to bristling weapons platform. The effect on the alien ship was immediate. The crystal vessel seemed to pulse with inner light, and new structures began emerging from its hull. What had appeared to be a smooth, organic design suddenly revealed itself to be far more complex, with weapon-like protrusions extending from hidden chambers. "They're responding to our weapons activation," Chen reported. "Power levels spiking across their entire ship." Martinez felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Everything humanity did in the next few minutes would determine whether first contact became the beginning of a beautiful friendship or the start of an interstellar war. The alien ship continued its scanning, now with added intensity, while its own weapon systems came online in response to the Thunderstrike's aggressive posture. "Ma'am," Dr. Williams said urgently, "I don't think those are weapons. The energy signatures are all wrong for combat systems. I think they're trying to understand us, not attack us." "Then why are they targeting our critical systems?" Martinez demanded. "Why the detailed scans of our weapons?" "Maybe that's how they communicate," Williams replied desperately. "Maybe they need to understand our technology to talk to us properly." But Martinez's military training overrode the scientist's hopeful interpretation. She had seen this pattern before in dozens of battles. The enemy scans your defenses, maps your weapons, then strikes at your weak points. The aliens might be more advanced, but the tactical situation was identical to every space battle she had ever fought. "Range 2 target?" she asked. 100,000 kilometers, the tactical officer replied. "All weapons locked and ready." Martinez looked at the beautiful, terrifying alien ship on her screen. It hung in space like a crystal cathedral, pulsing with lights that might have been peaceful greetings or targeting systems. She had seconds to make a decision that would echo through history. The scanning beams suddenly intensified, penetrating deeper into the Thunderstrike's systems than any enemy had ever managed. Warning lights flashed across every console as the alien technology bypassed their most advanced defenses as if they didn't exist. "They're inside our computer systems," Chen reported, his voice tight with alarm. "Whatever they're doing, they have complete access to our ship's data." That was the final straw. In Martinez's mind, the aliens had just committed an act of war. No peaceful species would hack into their computer systems without permission. The beautiful crystal ship wasn't a diplomatic vessel. It was a spy ship gathering intelligence for an invasion. "All weapons," Martinez commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to do. "Target their main hull. Fire at will." The Thunderstrike unleashed the fury of human military engineering. Particle beams capable of melting asteroids lanced out across space, followed by missiles carrying nuclear warheads that could level cities. Energy weapons that had devastated rebel fleets focused their power on the crystal alien ship. For a moment, the space between the two vessels blazed like a new star as humanity's most advanced weapons struck their target. Martinez held her breath, watching for the explosion that would mark their victory and humanity's dominance over this new threat. Instead, something impossible happened. The weapons struck the alien ship and simply disappeared. The particle beams were absorbed into the crystal hull like water soaking into sand. The nuclear missiles detonated harmlessly against some kind of energy field that converted their destructive power into harmless light. Every weapon in humanity's arsenal proved as effective as throwing stones at a mountain. "No effect," the weapons officer reported, disbelief clear in his voice. "All weapons ineffective. Target is undamaged." Martinez stared at the screen where the alien ship continued to pulse with its strange light, completely unharmed by humanity's best efforts to destroy it. For the first time in her career, she faced an enemy that her weapons couldn't touch, and then the alien ship began to move toward them, no longer passive, no longer simply observing. Humanity had just fired the first shot in what might be the shortest war in galactic history, asterisk. When Titans clashed, a silence that followed humanity's failed attack lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then the alien ship responded, and Captain Martinez realized that her species had just made the most catastrophic mistake in their history. The crystal vessel didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it sang, The harmonic tones that had seemed so beautiful during the first contact attempt now returned with terrifying intensity. But this time, they weren't transmitted through radio waves. The sounds seemed to emanate from the thunderstrike itself, as if the ship's hull had become a massive speaker. "What's happening?" Martinez demanded, as every console on the bridge began to flicker. Dr. Williams frantically worked at her station, her face pale with growing horror. "Captain, they're using our own ship's systems against us. Somehow, they're turning our hull into a resonance chamber. The harmonic frequencies are interfering with our electronics." The bridge lights dimmed and brightened in rhythm with the alien song. Throughout the ship, crew members stopped what they were doing and stared in amazement, as their mighty warship was transformed into a musical instrument by an enemy they couldn't even scratch. "Cut all external communications," Martinez ordered. "Whatever they're doing, I don't want it spreading to other systems." But it was too late for such precautions. The alien song wasn't using their communication array. It was using the ship itself, turning 15 kilometers of advanced military hardware into an acoustic weapon pointed at its own crew. "Lieutenant." Commander Chen clutched his head as the harmonics intensified. "Ma'am, the frequency is affecting our inner ears. The crew is reporting disorientation and nausea." Martinez forced herself to focus, despite the growing headache caused by the alien song. She had to find a way to fight back, to prove that humanity wouldn't be defeated by a species that turned their own weapons into wind chimes. "Emergency power to all weapon systems," she commanded. "If conventional weapons won't work, we'll overload their defenses with raw firepower. Every gun, every missile, everything we have." The Thunderstrike's crew responded with the professionalism that Pad had made them the elite of the Solar Navy. Despite the disorienting effects of the alien song, they worked at their stations, preparing to unleash their ship's full arsenal. If the aliens could absorb their weapons, maybe they could overwhelm that absorption capacity. "All systems charged and ready," the weapons officer reported through gritted teeth. "Captain, I have to advise against this. We're talking about enough firepower to crack a moon. If it reflects back at us, ... then we better hope it doesn't," Martinez replied grimly. "Fire everything." The second attack was a display of human military might that would have awed earlier generations. Every weapon the Thunderstrike carried fired simultaneously, creating a wave of destruction that lit up the space between the two ships like a miniature supernova. Particle beams, plasma cannons, nuclear missiles, antimatter torpedoes, and exotic energy weapons that existed only on humanity's most advanced warships, all focused on the crystal alien vessel. For a moment, Martinez allowed herself to hope that sheer overwhelming force would succeed where precision had failed. The alien ship disappeared behind a wall of fire and energy that should have been sufficient to destroy a small fleet. Then the light faded, and the crystal ship hung in space, completely unchanged. Not only had it absorbed humanity's most devastating attack, but now it began to glow brighter, as if their weapons had actually powered it up rather than damaged it. "Impossible," Chen whispered. "Nothing can absorb that much energy without some kind of effect." Dr. Williams looked up from her instruments, her voice filled with scientific wonder and growing dread. "James, I don't think they absorbed our weapons. I think they converted them. All that destructive energy is being transformed into something else." "Into what?" Martinez demanded. Before Williams could answer, the alien ship showed them. The crystal vessel began to change shape, its smooth surfaces flowing like liquid while maintaining their crystalline appearance. New structures emerged from the hull, growing like flowers made of living diamond. The ship was rebuilding itself, using the energy from humanity's attacks as raw material for its transformation. "They're using our weapons to improve their ship," Williams said in amazement. "Every attack makes them stronger." Martinez felt a cold realization settle in her stomach. They weren't just facing a superior enemy. They were facing something that treated their most advanced weapons as gifts, raw energy to be harvested and repurposed. Every shot they fired was making their situation worse. "Cease fire," she ordered, "all weapons offline." But the damage was already done. The alien ship had grown by nearly a third, new structures gleaming with the power of humanity's converted weapons. And now it was moving toward them with clear intent. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer reported. "Same harmonic pattern as before, but ... different somehow." "Asterisk put it through," Martinez said, though she dreaded what they might hear. The sound that filled the bridge was no longer the beautiful whale song of first contact. Now it carried undertones of sadness, disappointment, and something that might have been grief. The aliens weren't angry at humanity's attack. They were disappointed. Dr. Williams worked frantically at her translation protocols, trying to make sense of the harmonic patterns. "Captain, I think they're trying to tell us something. The mathematical structure suggests concepts like sorrow, mistake, and refugee." Martinez repeated. "What do you mean, refugee?" Before Williams could answer, the alien ship demonstrated. The crystal vessel projected a holographic display in the space between the two ships, showing images that told a story of cosmic tragedy. The first image showed a beautiful blue-green world orbiting a golden star. The second showed that same world consumed by flame as its star went supernova. The third showed ships, thousands of them, fleeing into space, as their home died behind them. "Oh God," Williams whispered, "they're not invaders, they're survivors." The holographic story continued, showing the long journey through space, the desperate search for a new home, the gradual failure of ship after ship as their people died. In the void, the crystal vessel was one of the last survivors of a civilization that had traveled for centuries looking for a place where they could rebuild their lives. And when they had found the Sol system, with its warm star and inhabitable worlds, they had approached with hope and songs of greeting, only to be met with weapons fire from a species too frightened and aggressive to recognize refugees when they saw them. Martinez stared at the holographic display, watching the tragic story of a dying civilization that had come to humanity seeking sanctuary, not conquest. Her trained military mind had interpreted their scanning as targeting systems, their songs as threats, their peaceful approach as the prelude to invasion. "We fired on refugees," she said quietly. "We attacked survivors looking for a home." The alien ship's song changed again, becoming something that sounded almost like forgiveness. But the holographic display showed new images now, images that made Martinez's blood run cold. The first showed the crystal ship as it had appeared when they first detected it, beautiful and peaceful. The second showed it as it was now, grown larger and more complex from absorbing their weapons. The third showed what it was becoming. "There, showing us the consequences," Williams said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Our attacks didn't just fail to destroy them. We forced them to adapt, to become something they never wanted to be." The final holographic image showed the crystal ship fully transformed. No longer a refugee vessel, but a warship born from humanity's aggression. The aliens hadn't wanted to fight. but humanity's attacks had given them no choice but to become warriors, Captain Chen reported, his voice tight with concern. Long-range sensors are detecting more ships entering the system. Dozens of them, all with the same crystal signature. Martinez closed her eyes. The first ship hadn't been alone. It had been the scout for an entire refugee fleet. Thousands of survivors looking for a new home. And humanity's first act had been to attack their peaceful representative. "Are they responding to our attack?" she asked. "Unknown," Chen replied. "But their formation suggests defensive positioning around our solar system. They're not approaching Earth directly, but they're definitely prepared for continued hostilities." The original alien ship sent one final transmission, a complex harmonic pattern that Dr. Williams spent several minutes translating. When she looked up, her face was streaked with tears. "What did they say?" Martinez asked. "They're asking us to choose," Williams replied. "They can still leave, find another system, continue their search for a home, or they can stay and defend themselves from further attacks. But if they stay, they won't be refugees anymore. Our aggression will have transformed them into something else entirely." Martinez looked at the transformed alien ship, now a crystalline fortress bristling with energy systems powered by humanity's own weapons. She thought about the fleet of refugee ships now taking defensive positions throughout the solar system, forced to prepare for war instead of looking for a new home. Humanity had encountered their first alien civilization, and instead of greeting them with open hands, they had met them with closed fists. The refugees could still leave, but the damage was done. They would remember that the first species they met in their desperate search for sanctuary had tried to destroy them without provocation. "Open a channel," Martinez said quietly. "All frequencies, maximum power." "Ma'am?" Chen questioned. "I'm going to try to undo the worst mistake in human history," she replied. Then, speaking into the communication system, she began the words that might save both species from a war neither of them wanted. "This is Captain Elena Martinez of the Earth vessel Thunderstrike. We made a terrible mistake. We thought you were invaders when you were actually refugees. Our species has never encountered another intelligent civilization before, and fear made us react with violence instead of wisdom." The bridge fell silent as Martinez continued, knowing that her words were being transmitted not just to the alien ship, but potentially to the entire refugee fleet. "We offer our sincere apologies for our aggression, and we extend an invitation for peaceful coexistence in our solar system. There are worlds here that could serve as homes for your people, and perhaps we can learn from each other instead of destroying each other." For several minutes, there was no response. Then the crystal ship began to sing again, but this time the harmony was different. It carried notes of hope mixed with caution, forgiveness tempered by necessary wariness. Dr. Williams looked up from her translation console, a tentative smile on her face. "They're willing to try again, Captain, but they want guarantees. They've been hurt before, and they won't risk their people on promises alone." Martinez nodded. It would take time to rebuild the trust that had been shattered by humanity's fearful first response. But maybe, just maybe, first contact could still become the beginning of something beautiful instead of the start of an interstellar war. The alien ship began to transform again, its crystalline structures shifting back toward their original peaceful configuration, but it would never be exactly the same as before. Humanity's weapons had changed it, just as this encounter would change both species forever. Sometimes, the greatest battles are the ones you choose not to fight. Asterisk.